In the year 1211, a storm began to rise from the steppes, an unstoppable force of barbaric might that swept everything before it. Under the command of Genghis Khan, the mighty Mongol cavalry, an embodiment of vast power, set its covetous eyes on the formidable yet weakening Jin Empire. Unaware of the impending doom, the Jin officials and generals were still embroiled in petty power struggles within the walls of the court, neglecting the severity of the crisis that loomed. As night fell, the border outposts of the Jin seemed like beacons of light stranded on desolate fringes. And beyond the dark outline of the horizon, a maelstrom of conquest was gathering. Mongol scouts, silent as specters, glided across the moonlit plains, their eyes gleaming with the prelude to a cataclysmic war. With the first light of dawn, the Mongol cavalry swept through like a plague, dealing a fatal blow to the unprepared Jin forces. Accustomed to the warfare tactics of the plains, the Jin soldiers floundered amidst confusion and fear. The relentless volleys of Mongol archers pierced through the Jin shields and armor, staining their white garments with blood. The banners, symbolizing the will of Genghis Khan, flapped ominously, heralding the arrival of the Reaper. Under the scorching sun, the hooves of the Mongols' horses showed no mercy as they trampled over the yet warm corpses. This was not only a conquest of territory, but also a shattering of spirit. History was being rewritten. The tactical genius of Genghis Khan and the ferocious fighting skills of the Mongol cavalry brought devastation upon the people of the Jin. They swept through villages and destroyed cities relentlessly without reprieve. Facing the tightening iron grasp of the Mongols, the might of the Jin began to crumble. Once regal commands now faltered, and morale wavered. On the battlefield, the Mongolian horsemen shone, especially with their lightning-fast charges that induced panic in the disarrayed Jin ranks. After regrouping, the Mongol forces stood unmercifully firm, like monoliths, coldly surveying the routed masses. Hunting down the panicked Jin as lions among wolves, they inscribed the terror of the Mongol warrior deep into their foe's psyche. Yet this was only the beginning. An unrelenting storm, the Mongol army swept across vast swathes of Jin territory, each drop of blood testifying to the expansionist ambition of the Mongol Empire. As the war progressed, Genghis Khan deployed even crueler tactics. Fire became the destroyer of Jin cities. One by one, towns turned to ash beneath the fiery onslaught, painting the skies with the hue of blood. With cries of despair, the fleeing populace witnessed the ruin of their homes and the scattering of their families. Amongst the victorious flames, the Mongols appeared more fearsome than ever. They were not just warriors, but harbingers of annihilation. Following the fall of cities, there were rarely survivors among the people, regardless of age or sex. Life seemed so fragile in front of the Mongolian army. The ruthless tactics filled the hearts of the Jin soldiers with fear. They began to doubt their faith and their strength, and even those who fought valiantly could barely turn the tide. A pivotal battle unfolded at Shuazhou, serving as a focal point for the confrontation between the two armies. The tidal wave of the Mongol cavalry clashed with the firm defenses of the Jin. Despite having a solid front, the relentless Mongol onslaught proved unstoppable. The battle raged from dawn till dusk, with the blood-red sunset morning over the field of combat. The Jin warriors fell heroically, their courage becoming a significant chapter in the annals of history. Yet, under the relentless press of Mongol hooves, Shuazhou too fell to ruin. This victory greatly boosted the morale of the Mongol troops, further diminishing the resistance of the Jin. More convinced than ever of Genghis Khan's leadership and their own invincible destiny, they rode onward, unstoppable. After successive defeats, heroes arose from the remnants of the Jin army, seeking a glimmer of hope amid despair. They led what was left of their forces in a series of counterattacks. One such hero, celebrated for his valor, masterfully used terrain and the cover of night to deal a significant blow to the Mongol forces in a surprise attack. However, once the cunning Mongols adapted to his tactics, this hero's fate was sealed. He fell in a subsequent assault, his death a severe blow to the Jin troops' morale. Before the hero's grave stood only wilted flowers and the silent wind. His story became a legend passed down among the people of Jin. As the war wore on, Toulon became the scene of another desperate struggle. The city's every brick and stone bore witness to the war's brutality. The walls were pelted with a rain of arrows as Jin defenders clung to their last vestiges of dignity against the furious Mongol attack. Through the night, amidst the unrelenting flames, this once bustling city was quickly reduced to a hellish landscape. And with the final defenses breached, Mongol warriors poured into the streets, slaughtering indiscriminately. Silence reigned after their departure, aside from the persistent flames and the intermittent cries. All that remained were ruins and desolation. The relentless march of the Mongol army continued unabated, their horses' beats becoming a perpetual nightmare in the ears of Jin people. As the war expanded, more cities fell, and more lives were extinguished. The tremendous force of the Jin dynasty had been shattered by the Mongol Iron Fist. In this lopsided conflict, the Mongol forces were like ruthless reapers, harvesting life at every turn. The name of Genghis Khan became a wellspring of dread for all of Jin. Even the bravest Jin soldiers felt an unprecedented sense of despair when facing the Mongol ferocity. The sky was obscured by thick smoke, while the earth below bore countless bodies and charred remains. This was more than a war, it was a destruction of civilization. Amidst continuous defeat and devastation, the Jin emperor and his courtiers began to question their fate. One night, low sobs echoed throughout the palace. The emperor of Jin watched in despair as his beautiful lands turned to rubble. Yet even in such hopelessness, there were those unwilling to give up the last shred of hope. In a secluded corner of the Jin Empire, a group of generals and soldiers gathered, vowing to fight for their homeland's dignity until the end. Though the odds were slim, they wanted to find a sliver of light in the dark and relentless war. Facing the seemingly unstoppable assault of the Mongol forces, the final resistance of the Jin was like a phoenix rising from its ashes, exhibiting formidable strength. While they couldn't alter the war's course, their bravery and perseverance became a footnote in history, leaving endless remembrance and reflection for future generations. In 1234, the Jin dynasty could not escape the wheel of fate. However, the resilience and indomitable spirit of the Jin people left a lasting imprint on the fabric of history. The war eventually subsided, but the scars and lessons it left will be remembered forever. On the land that once was ravaged by blood and strife, new life and hope began to sprout quietly. The name of Genghis Khan and the tale of his cavalry would be etched into the stone tablets of history, forever reminding people of the bloody yet glorious chapters of that era.